Last year, in the fight with Nelson Peltz, Bob Iger always liked to talk about Tron Light Cycle Run as one of the great attractions that they brought to Walt Disney World Resort in that previous year. But now that ride is off of virtual queues, the system that kept people from just walking on to that ride. And it seems like the wait times are getting shorter and shorter for this attraction. Was the fear of missing out the only thing keeping this ride in demand? Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is exile from the grid, VashSky. One of my favorite programs, by the way. Vash, how's it going today?
Oh, yes. I'm going very, very well. Thank you. Hopefully my programming will pay off in this instance. But I don't know, those pesky users, who knows what's going to happen here.
I think we could use some of your digital jazz on this one. This from thatparkplace.com. If it's not clear, Tron Legacy is one of my favorite films. Walt Disney World's Tron roller coaster sees low wait times after switching to standby queue, while various rides at Disneyland have no lines. This story by Marvin Montanaro. Since opening in April of 2023, Tron Light Cycle Run has been a difficult attraction to experience. Like most new Disney attractions, Tron was locked behind a virtual queue. That means you couldn't just walk up and hop in the line the way one could for something like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train or the Haunted Mansion. Look at that right there. That is a cool looking ride. Well, a cool looking exterior to a ride. Instead, you have to be up and on your phone at 7 a.m. sharp to enter a virtual queue system that will then dictate when you can ride. This system gives you an early boarding group, but you weren't planning on getting to the park until 11 a.m. or later. Well, then that is too bad. You only have a 1 hour window from the time your boarding group is called. If you arrive after, it's at the discretion of the cast members whether you'll be allowed on. There's also a 1 p.m. opening for virtual queues, but that's subject to availability and sometimes never opens at all. This flawed system exists to prop up Disney's Lightning Lane system, backed by what was formerly known as Genie Plus. Since late July, it's been known as Lightning Lane Multipass. Ask your travel agent if Lightning Lane Multipass is right for you. Vash, is that a good summary of the virtual queue system? Somebody got on us in another video talking about Tron here and says that you guys know that virtual queue and Lightning Lane are two different things, right? Like, yes, we do. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're definitely two different things. This whole thing is just really something, Jonas. How could the Walt Disney Company make this any more confusing? Well, when it comes to virtual queue, though, this was the attraction, Jonas. I don't know if you remember this, but this was the attraction when they really started to enforce those like end of return times. Previously, it was kind of like an open time period. If you got one, you can come in, a couple hours later, whatever, it's fine. Or if you had like a restaurant reservation, they'd work around you, that kind of thing. Not so with Tron. With Tron, they implemented, not maybe initially, but soon thereafter, they initiated like a hard cutoff. Like, hey, if you get a virtual queue, but you don't arrive within your set time of this virtual queue, it's foregone completely. And I've heard many a story from people who were trying to get on this ride, got a virtual queue, had something come up, and couldn't actually go on it that day. Very sad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And well, it's obviously switched off of virtual queue now, which I think a lot of people were probably excited for this to go off of virtual queue. But we've got some updates on timing here. If you missed out on virtual queue, you can buy your way onto the ride at an additional cost for each member of your travel party. Disney's official reasoning for this system is to control the crowds around new attractions. In the past, guests have swarmed to anything remotely new with wait times in excess of 90 to 120 minutes. However, when Tron Light Cycle Run switched to standby queue only on September 9th, we learned quickly that demand for this attraction might not be what Disney originally believed. Crowds around the attraction surged first thing that morning, with rope drop guests rushing to the Magic Kingdom coaster in the back of Tomorrowland. However, by midday, a time which the parks see a pickup of traffic from park hoppers and late starters, Tron could barely muster a 30-minute wait. This from ParkMine, only a 30-minute wait for Tron on its first day of virtual queue. Either it has an insane capacity or just isn't drawing crowds anymore. And by the way, right here, that is a 30-minute posted wait time as opposed to what it actually was, because I am hearing from people who have been on the ride within the last few days. Yesterday, by the way, as we're recording this, so on Thursday, September 12th, Just Rode Tron, 70-minute wait time posted, waited actually 30 minutes. Continuing on, Happy first day of Tron being on standby, and it's currently not the highest wait. Tron is up to 70, but look at these other wait times. Makes me want to hop on a plane to Disney. Most rides are sitting at 10 minutes or less, and Seven Dwarfs is only 40 minutes right here. And you can see that if you go check out the article, it has the link to that below. In the post above, you can see a 15-minute wait for Space Mountain, with Pirates of the Caribbean being a walk-on. Haunted Mansion is also listed at 13 minutes. However, that's the time Disney lists the Haunted House ride at when it has no wait whatsoever. So what does this mean? Is no one interested in Tron Light Cycle Run, or has Disney's overall attendance level fallen so far that we've returned to the time of empty Septembers? Man, if I was excited to go into those parks, that would make me so excited right now. Vash, this is a headline attraction for Shanghai Disneyland. In fact, this is an exact copy of Shanghai Disneyland, which you wouldn't know from the fact that it took them 6 years to build it over here in the United States.
It's wild. It's crazy. Well, when you parse out that capital investment over quarter to quarter, that's where you get those times. Actually, some notable commentators in our space were noting how after 524 days of using a virtual queue, Tron at Magic Kingdom is finally offering a regular standby queue. Meanwhile, Cosmic Rewind opened 836 days ago. So quite a bit of time has passed since the implementation of these virtual queues. Alicia Stella, you cannot ride this 2-year-old roller coaster in a world-class theme park twice in the same day without paying extra money, and that feels weird. Referring to Cosmic Rewind in that particular instance.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's just crazy, Jonas. And this all kind of stems back to the whole idea of like, oh, well, a 10-hour line is failure. That's the quote roughly from Chapek talking about Hagrid's Magic Motorbike Adventure when that attraction initially opened. I believe, what was that, 2019, 2018 was when that attraction opened there. And yeah, there were lines that basically flooded all of Islands of Adventure. That is true. And I think there is a place for virtual queue, but as I've said before, to handle that initial demand, I get it. But not long after that, Jonas, can you drop these things? And I think the company felt compelled to maintain a virtual queue system on Tron Light Cycle Run for the extent that they did because of just the horrific unload times for this attraction. Because a guest not fitting.
Right. I'll say it because I'm a taller guy here, but the fact that your calves have to fit into whatever those seating restraints is on the lower half. We're not even talking about the midsection here. We're talking about the calves on people. If you have large enough calves, you cannot get onto this ride unless you get, I think, a single seat in the back that is not the original design intention for the ride. It's also a 1-minute ride, which sounds like it has more than a 1-minute load time if you're not careful.
Oh, it's crazy, Jonas. I was clocking it when I was at Walt Disney World. I mean, I think the load unload times went from like 2 minutes to 35 minutes. I was like, whoa, what in the world? I mean, Space Mountain at Disneyland, for example, I think they want that down to 20 seconds. Is dispatch time on that. So when you're talking about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes for dispatches on an attraction like that really severely hurt your capacity. And I think that's what they were trying to contend with there. Here's the thing, Jonas, when you carbon copy an attraction meant for an Asian populace, for an American populace, well, you're going to have some problems. And unfortunately, that's what happened here.
That's very true. And I do wonder, I mean, what else is on virtual queue? I know that Tiana's has been on standby for some events. I don't know if that's permanently on standby now. And Cosmic Rewind. Right. And you have to wonder, I think Cosmic Rewind has been on virtual queue for longer than Tron was at this point. Cosmic Rewind, also, it's a roller coaster, and it is the most thrilling attraction at Epcot, often cited as one of the best coasters in the Orlando area. Although after having ridden the Voyage at Holiday World, I'm thinking that the Voyage might give some of these amazing Disney coasters a ride for their money, and that thing's wooden. So, wow, we're probably going to talk about that on a different video. Didn't have to open an app a single time on that one as well. I'm not comparing apples to apples here, but I had to. I could stay away from my Apple device in order to get onto the ride there. With that being said, we want to throw this to our commenters here. What do you think about the fact that Tron is no longer on virtual queue? Will you finally be checking it out? Or if you're someone who has already ridden the ride, what do you think about the fact that you can now just ride it whenever you want to risk going through that line? Like this video, of course, if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.